Hey everybody, I'm Natalie Bencivenga and welcome to 5 Minutes With. This week I am so excited to have my friend Michael Ban with me. He is a healthcare advocate, he is an author, and he is also a brain cancer survivor himself. So thank you so much for being here with me, Michael.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
So, I first was introduced to you because someone reached out to me about this book, this amazing book that you wrote, which we will get to here in a minute, Adventures at the Hospital. But I wanted to know the context of why you decided to write this book. And it really goes back to your own personal journey with cancer and with your diagnosis. So, would you like to share a little bit about that with everyone?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed with cancer in rather dramatic fashion. I was rushed to the hospital by my friend. They thought I was having a stroke. Within 30 minutes, we found out that there's probably a growth in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
After a biopsy, they found it was a malignant tumor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, got a craniotomy, which is an awake craniotomy, which means I was awake while they were cutting out the tumor in my brain and giving a thumbs up like I'm still here and I can still talk. Frightening experience, but actually thrilling because you're surrounded by like the most proficient professionals in the world that are literally doing brain surgery through uh, robots, which kind of frightening, but also cool. I wouldn't recommend the experience. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but is really rewarding. I have many new friends and support staff as a result. I kind of have time to reflect on my experience when I was a child. I had bacterial meningitis when I was 2. And what could have been a very frightening experience was a very positive experience. Um, I don't remember a lot of what happened. I just remember being in the hospital and just feeling the warmth of these strangers that cared for me. And the nurses, the doctors, all the support staff were wonderful people. And it was kind of like a marquee moment in my life because from that on, I have an inherent trust for other people, which is good or bad. But I've found that it's genuinely good for me because when I was back in the hospital, uh, I trusted my support staff and they did a phenomenal job. And to this day, I'm in communication with my neurosurgeon, my neuro-oncologist, and every once in a while, my uh, radiation oncologist. So it's
So,
been
what was that experience like the day that you found out what was really going on? Because you and I had talked prior to this, and you had shared with me that you had been having some symptoms, you'd been having a lot of issues, and it was kind of driving you a little crazy because you didn't know what was wrong with you. So, what was it like actually finding out that you had a malignant tumor?
well. The day, let me rewind a week before.
Mm-hmm.
I quit my job the week before, and my boss actually told me because I was having an issue and I just couldn't work it out. And I figured I don't want to be the weakest member on the team. I'm just gonna resign. And she said, "No, we're gonna work this out." And I was like, "Why?" It's one of those moments where you're at your lowest point, and sure enough, she stuck with me. And a week later, I was diagnosed with a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I mean, I'm forever thankful for her, but it kind of renewed my sense in humanity, like when I was a kid. So to that end, to go back to your question, I don't know. I think I was excited. I was just happy that the people that I felt that I was letting down, actually, there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctors at the time were a little taken aback that I was smiling. They're like, okay, this must be the tumor. But I was like, no, I knew there was something wrong, and I felt it. And it was a great day for me, but it's a terrible day for my family because that was, I was 32 at the time, and I seemed to be, full of vim and vigor in life, and it was a crushing blow for them. I know for my mom and my fiance, or my soon-to-be fiance, that it was a lot to grasp. So, yeah, it was a memorable day, a good day for me, not so good for my family, but it was a bad day for the tumor too, because it meant I was going to work and I was going to get it out.
That's right. And, that leads us to the fact that while you were going through treatment, you decided you were going to do this, which is kind of an incredible thing to do while dealing with so much, personal trauma and a lot to take in. And you thought, no, I'm going to spin this and do something that could be of support to others, which I think is amazing. And so this book, Adventures at the Hospital, that you wrote and that was illustrated by your friend Walter,
Shelley.
Shelley, yeah. Thank you. I'm Italian. I feel bad. I should have known how to pronounce that.
It's Argentinian. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See, there you go. So it's a beautifully illustrated book. I recommend that everybody that gets to see it checks it out. And talk a little bit about, was this cathartic for you as much as it was to help children with the scariness, so to speak, of the hospital? But did it help you as well?
Yes. It helped me twofold. It was physical and mental rehabilitation, because I was always I deemed myself a creative person, and kind of going through the physical therapy and then some of the occupational therapy, I didn't know right from left. So I started doing little ditties and then little tales for my niece. And it was cathartic in that, I felt like I still had a little bit of me inside of me, because I was always creative. But then it's also catharsis in that I was a little kid grown up now, because when I was 2, I was in the hospital, and while I do remember the Fisher Price Garage that I loved, I don't remember reading a lot of children's hospital books that were garnered or geared toward kids in the hospital. So it's something that I was kind of immediately rang a bell, and I contacted Walter because my hand wasn't wasn't ready for drawing, and it still isn't. Not that I think my chicken scratch proves that I'm never going to be a illustrator, but it was a great form of catharsis working with Walter, and then kind of sketching out something that I can see in children's hospitals and doctors' offices for kids. So, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think it's lovely what you created with Walter, and I keep showing the cover because it's so charming, but I just want to show, one of the inside pages that I just loved, the diversity of people and all of the beautiful colors. I think it's beautiful and so important to, I think, give, because I think that helps us when we are struggling with our own ideas and our own issues. And as we wrap up this 5 minutes with, I just wanted to get a final thought from you. I didn't ask you this question in our pre-interview, so I'm kind of springing it on you, but what have you learned about life, and what have you learned about the concept of death since going through this experience?
Well, so that's something I grappled with right after I got diagnosed, because I didn't know how to tell my family and how to communicate to them. So I actually went to and I didn't go looking for answers, but I kind of found an answer. I went on a Buddhist retreat with a dear friend of mine, and there was a Buddhist monk there. He was 90 years old, and I mean, it's a little cliche, but I almost asked him, what's the meaning of life? Because I see all this suffering and stress in my family and friends, and there's obviously other people out there that are struggling. So I asked this with the idea of like, okay, this guy's, not only is he 90, but he's pondered great things to ponder, and he's thought great things to think. And he asked, or rather his answer was a little shorter than I would have liked, but when I thought about it, it was perfect, because he says, it's just to be happy. And I was like, is this what I paid for up here? Not that I paid for him, but then I thought about it, and I was like, I can only be happy because me being happy helps my loved ones be happy, and being happy for my loved ones helps them be happy for me. And it's I don't know if it's cheesy, but it's worked for me since that meeting with the 90-year-old Buddhist monk. So I think with that, is you just got to be happy, and when other people see you happy, it kind of radiates with them and resonates with them. So those would be my 2 cents.
I think that's beautiful. And, I think the idea of happiness too is amplified when we're in service to others. And so the idea that you did this book, I'm sure, is bringing you joy, but instead, of course, it'll be amplified and bringing others happiness as well. So thank you so much, Michael, for spending just a little bit more than 5 minutes with me.
Thank you.